hello, hello, hello. Garden tour week, I don't know what. Honestly, well, you would say two. Well, this is Garden Week tour on YouTube, right?
Yeah, on YouTube. If we're not counting the other ones on Facebook.
Right. Because if we went back all the way back to the beginning of the garden tours, it started in February in the greenhouse. It's a lot of weeks away. So here we are in our starting spot, which is our spaghetti squash and our cucumbers and some tomatoes that we have growing in the pots.
And the sunflowers.
And sunflowers. We have a massive sunflower bed that we're trying to...
That right there is all sunflowers.
Yep. And I actually got more sunflower seeds from Baker Creek yesterday. The red ones that I was supposed to get from who knows who the person was.
At least you finally got them.
At least I finally got them, only I had to order them from somewhere else. I ordered sunflower seeds from Etsy online from a seed company, and apparently that seed company decided not to send any products to anybody after a short period of time, and nobody got any seeds, and we also didn't get our refunds on those seeds. So yeah, be wary, read reviews. Sadly, I was one of the first people to order, so my review wasn't on there, but shortly thereafter everybody's reviews were pretty much the same. So we have flowers coming in on these. This is kind of our messy corner because we still have to do stuff.
Yeah, we got like random pieces of wood and some chicken wire.
Let's see. Here we have spaghetti squash, and it is starting to get these little tendrils to grow up into the vines. So you see those little tendrils? Those will attach to this trellis and hopefully come all the way up.
They should go all the way up.
They should. I'm hoping. They're pretty prolific, and we got those little green bags to put the fruit in when they're squashing. Nothing, I mean, the cucumbers are still at that same stage growing. We're starting to get cucumber flowers. You can see in there. This is still kind of behind. The nasturtium's still quite lovely. And this tomato, look at that. Look at that champion tomato going on there.
Isn't that one of the bigger ones?
Yeah, this is one of the San Marzanos, so I am so looking forward to those this year. Those were really good tomatoes last year. We only got 4 of them.
Oh gosh.
I know. So this year I have quite a bit planted. I plan to make some good tomato sauce with that. Sorry if my view's off. I have to watch where I'm walking and I can't see where I'm filming.
Yeah, this area is kind of on level.
We have flagstone going on. We need to kind of build it up. And then the dogs keep digging, so that's a little challenging. Looky what we have here.
The asparagus has grown.
Look at that asparagus. Doesn't that look pretty? All these ferns. Now, I had never grown asparagus before. This is the first year crop. We put the roots in on mounds, and then put the roots out so that they could spread kind of like a ragdoll wig. And then the whole premise is all these little baby asparagus that are growing up, you have to let them grow this year and not cut them. So that's what we're doing, and that's what you get when you don't harvest them. Next year we'll be able to harvest them, and they're going to be amazing because they're going to be big. We already have some that come in kind of like sizable. Let me see if I can find one. That one's still small. Like this one, when it came through, it was really big. But now it's ferned out, so you can't really see the size of it. What else did we do to this bed?
Well, on the back here we have some tomatoes. We have about 5 or 6 of them. What kind of tomatoes were they? This is the San Marzanos.
There are more San Marzanos, but there's also the Genovese, the Romanesque.
Yeah.
And I think there's like 2 Genovese, 2 Romanesque, and 2 San Marzanos is what I put in this bed.
Yeah. We have about 6 tomatoes towards the back, and then we have about 6 or 7 peppers plus 2 basils here.
Yep.
We put them together because apparently the basil goes really well with the peppers, and the peppers go really well with the basil. So we figured we might as well use this space since we already have it here.
And why did we put the tomatoes with the asparagus?
Oh, because they work well together as well. Because the asparagus, they produce a hormone that keeps bugs off the tomatoes, and then the tomatoes, I don't remember.
They also produce a chemical that keeps asparagus beetles or asparagus worms off.
I knew that the asparagus helped the tomatoes, but I forgot how the tomatoes help the asparagus.
Yeah. So these
Plus,
two.
once they get taller, because aren't these supposed to get like 6 feet tall?
Yeah, these can get up to 6 to 12 feet tall. So it will provide a nice.
It'll really help with these peppers when they're being able to grow up more, because they won't be dealing with wind knocking off their peppers.
Yep. On these pepper, yeah, and then the tomatoes back here.
Sorry.
The other thing. Whoops. So we have in the same bed tomatoes and peppers. You can grow them together in the year, okay? But you cannot put peppers.
Yeah, you can't put peppers where there were tomatoes last year.
Yeah. So you should never put the peppers where the tomatoes were. I'm not sure why exactly, but that's what's recommended. Don't do it. But this is a good balance. One on this side, one on that side. So I think also when the peppers are bushing out, it'll keep some things in shady, like the roots shady, and it'll also keep this bed a little bit more moist, which is what the asparagus like. So yeah, you can usually find asparagus growing by riverbeds, and it'll just grow naturally.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, those asparagus back there are a little thicker. Look at that. I can see them from here. I thought they were kind of thin, but they're a little thicker. Look at that.
Especially that one.
Yeah. So by next year, though, I guess that they will be quite big. They'll be pretty big, huh? Mm-hmm. So this bed is changing frequently. I'm not sure what happens when they bloom. We'll see. But
Probably seed.
yeah, they'll probably seed.
Oh, you might want to take the seeds out so that way it's not overbearing everything.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of good roots here. I'll have to see. I mean, I think you just let them do what they're supposed to do the first year. These are 2-year root balls. So technically this is their 3rd year. You could technically harvest 1 or 2 or 3 or, you know, like...
As much as they were roots, though, you don't want to harvest the plant. The
Yeah.
plant's only about a couple months old.
Yeah. So you just you don't want to harvest the roots, but yeah, the asparagus, like they said, you can pick a few here or there. I'd rather leave it because look how small they are and have big asparagus next year. So off we go. Look at the... I know I showed last time how much this is blooming, but it is really blooming now. Look at all those beautiful flowers.
Looks like one's already starting to turn.
Yeah, they're starting to bulb up.
Here, let me see if I can get over and
I know the hummingbirds have been on this thing like crazy, which is good because sometimes I forget to fill the feeder.
Look at this one.
See up there.
Petals are starting to fall off.
And we got a bulb going. So we should have a good amount of pomegranates. The beginning of the year we thought it was going to freeze. We were kind of like, oh my god, the pomegranate's going to freeze. And the tops did, but we just kind of pruned off the tops and let it go. And now this is what we have. So
We should get a lot this year.
we should get a lot of pomegranates, which Roland loves frozen, huh?
Yeah, I love them when they're frozen. It's like eating little popsicles. They're hard to stop eating.
They're hard to stop eating. So I'm maneuvering backwards. While he comes out of there, we're going to pan this way. Look at the sun rising through this. This is just kind of pretty, even though it's like our neighbor's yard. So, our tomatoes in here are doing really, really well. Our peas are winding down. And when I said that, like I was like, oh, I'm probably going to prune these peas out this week.
They started flowering.
They started
They hurt us.
flowering. They're like, save us. So we got more pea flowers. I was speaking to somebody who had mentioned, because I was like, how in the world do you get a good harvest out of peas? We have, I don't know, maybe about 10 little pea plants in here. And
It's fairly shaded, but it does get enough sun to where it's able to do what it's got to do.
it stays real cool here, though, so that's why it's still going, I guess. But at some point, it's going to get super hot. And I'd rather the tomatoes have this area because the tomatoes are going to get really, really big and tall. They did last year.
Look at Maryland.
This bed hasn't changed much. You know, it's just doing what it does. The tomatoes are growing in this bed. I did add an extra tomato.
Look. Tomorrow we'll have some bigger
Look,
peas.
little peas. See, they just keep kind of going.
But tomorrow they should be harvestable.
They should be. They'll grow fast. It's kind of funny. These carrots, I don't know. It's getting too hot for carrots.
They're kind of just plants. There's no root.
Yeah, I pulled one the other day because it bolted, and there literally was a root that had rooted and rooted. So it had all kinds of sprawly roots, and I was like, you didn't turn into a carrot at all, did you?
You're not doing this one right.
Yeah, you didn't do this right. But it had bolted, so I pulled it. I didn't want seed. I don't want carrot seed growing. I don't want just, I want to control the carrots. Here's my theory on carrots, radishes. Ooh, what am I stepping on? Oh, these are the leftover seedlings that I still need to get rid of.
Still have to sell them.
I have to sell them.
Anyone wants them, and they're in our area.
And they're really good. I have to take inventory and then get those
They get
priced.
really big once they get put into the ground. You just gotta make sure to give them some some eggshells.
Yep.
And if you do have
Tums.
some little tums,
Yeah.
because that just keeps them from going into shock, and it helps them put out more roots.
Some people will put a whole egg in the ground with them. Now,
Just the shell, like the yolk and everything in it.
the yolk. If you live where there are raccoons, don't do this. Because I've seen countless posts of people doing this with their tomatoes, and then the raccoons go and dig up the egg. They can smell that egg under there. They're going to go and dig up that egg. If you don't live where there's raccoons, you could do this. For every tomato plant you put in the ground, put an egg. Dig the hole deep, put the egg. You got
You do
to,
have places with the raccoons go eat the egg and then take the shell.
right, just use the shell. Grind the shell, put a Tums. It's
It's not that hard. You can do it by hand if you didn't have a blender. It just takes a little more time, but if you do, you want to use the blender.
Yeah, the thing about eggshells is they take a year to decompose, so you're basically putting eggshells for the next year. The Tums is immediate. Every place where I put tomatoes, I had tomatoes last year, so there's calcium in that soil already because of last year. Look at this oregano. Ain't that pretty? Little blossoms. I'm letting it flower. I harvested a bunch. I can still harvest more because I have this area.
They smell pretty good. They're not like the most potent thing, but they do smell pretty nice.
Yeah, they're attracting pollinators,
Those are
so
more flies.
anything I can attract. Oh, speaking of flies, okay, bad bugs, good bugs. So I'm going to attach to this video a little segment of bad bug, good bug. I recorded 2 little posts of bugs that I have, and so at some point you will see bad bug, good bug. Bad bug, good bug. And I will explain why. And this is like one of the reasons. So see that? It's a happy little camper in there. I'm not too concerned. It is a crane fly.
I have not seen one of those before. Those things look weird.
Oh, they've been all over this.
Have you know how that thing?
Yes, that's a crane fly.
Thing's huge.
I know. I'll explain it in the bad bug, good bug post. We are getting tomatoes. Not tomatoes. We're getting flowers on the tomatoes. These are dropping. I'm okay with that right now. It's a little early for tomatoes. Our temperatures aren't quite steady.
Yeah, temperatures have been going up and down.
Yeah. I mean, if some tomato, that's great. If they don't,
Like, it's kind of been upwards, like recently. Just a
Yeah.
couple of days ago, it was 78. The next day, it was like 82.
yep. And then all of a sudden it was 90.
Yesterday, it was like 90-ish.
I don't know. No, it only got to 78 yesterday. I
Yesterday?
think
But the pool was all warm.
the pool's all warm because we put we put things on there to try to make it warmer. Okay, the carrots, hopefully in this bed at least, this is a cooler bed. It's shaded by all these trees. Hopefully this is a cooler bed and these carrots will carrot. I don't know. None of them are bolting in this bed yet, so that's a good sign. They are lush and green and pretty and fluffy. Will we get carrots? Will we? Won't we? I have no idea. I don't see the little tops. Usually sometimes you can see them under here. I do have the eggplants, and the eggplants are doing really well. If you're, but you wouldn't have. So, previously in the garden tours, this poor little eggplant was all tiny. It is now catching up, and we are also getting eggplant flowers.
Yeah, last time we got eggplants, it was a long time ago.
2 years ago?
We had like a bunch of them back where we have a bunch of sunflowers and cabbage.
Yep.
But we got some, and we're like, oh yeah, we'll do this every year because we can make eggplant parmesan. And that's like really good.
Yep.
But ever since, we haven't been able to get them to flower.
Yeah, now they're flowering, so let's hope they pollinate.
We have these noodle beans.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
They're weird.
So far as
They have they have these two plant flower or leaves that come out.
Yep.
Then next they have these ones, but usually they're a little less eaten.
well, the grasshoppers and the little gnat type things got to them. Now we have some cleaner leaves that are starting out.
That come out, but these are just recently came out, so they're really green looking.
Yeah, look at
So it's kind of like a weird color
and
scale.
they look a little normal. So, the other day, I was like, oh my god, these beans. These are Chinese noodle beans. And I thought they look deformed, decrepit. Are the beans going to grow okay? I was really concerned about them. And then I found a post written by a girl who said that she grew her Chinese noodle beans and they were the worst looking vines she had ever seen. However, they were prolific with Chinese noodle beans. So we're letting them go. And it seems like they're pretty hardy because let me tell you, a bug had eaten the whole top of this Chinese noodle bean right here, and look at it's flowering again. That little sprout under there. That's kind of cool. Is there a bug?
Yeah, thought there was.
Yeah, our beds are infested with little grasshoppers everywhere. They're driving me nuts. Destruction in the garden. As best can be described, but for a purpose.
The earlier plants are coming out.
Yeah, this is for a purpose. One, the Swiss chard had bolted and it was way up here, super tall. It was taking nutrients from the flowers that are surrounding it. Yeah, I massacred this little thing here, but all for the purpose.
She found some snails and woke me up.
I woke him up with snail call. I was like, look, this snail. This bed, I'm going to put some stuff in here that's going to be complementary to these. Probably some more flowers. You can't really eat what you put in here for food because of the chemicals in a tire.
This is more of like a pretty flower thing.
Yeah, so...
And also a squirrel bed.
And the chickens enjoyed the Swiss chard this morning. They were all over it. They can always tell when I pull something out of the garden to give them because they go nuts. They know right away it's for them. We harvested a bunch of calendula. Well, okay, so I'm confused. And maybe somebody can help me out on this. But I was told that marigolds were calendulas. Okay. But then when you look at edible flowers, you see a category for marigolds and then you see a category for calendulas. Is it or isn't it? I know you can do the same things. You can make...
Should we show them about that cut?
How to harvest them?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we have any that are available to harvest. That little one. Okay, if you're going to harvest a marigold...
What you do is you go to the end right here.
Hold on. There we go.
You go to right there. You want to take your nail and you just want to put it through. And it'll be really soft right there. And it'll just come right off.
And it'll pop off.
It'll just snap right off. It cuts like scissors. But anywhere else on the plant is really hard.
Yep. It's like woodsy. You'll break the stem before you'll get the flower.
And it's okay to harvest these things. It just makes them want to go produce more.
Oh, look at this picture. I got to test it. While videoing, I have to snap a picture because this is lovely. With Gimli and a flower. It's the cutest thing ever. So, now here's a bug I'll have to investigate. Look at this. I don't think that is a good bug because it looks similar to a squash bug.
Oh, it flew away.
And it flew away. Incidentally, squash bugs can fly. I found that out last year when I was trying to put them all in a soapy bucket. And what happened was they started flowing out of... Yeah, they were flying at my face out of the bucket. So that wasn't good. But, so if you're harvesting, we did harvest a bunch of chamomile as well. I do need to get this garlic out of here that is in this bed. It's almost ready. It's just... Okay, I think it's a cooler bed, so they're not quite ready. We have a bunch of tomatoes. I'm tempted to pull these Brussels sprouts because they're blocking the sun from my tomatoes. These should have been done by now. I think they are going to Brussels. It said generally these are better as a fall crop. So I'm trying to get my thumb out of the way. If you look at those little buds in there, I don't know if that's supposed to be a Brussels sprout or not. I grew them once before, and I don't remember. It's been years ago. So I'm not entirely sure what they're supposed to do anymore. But I do know that they are best planted in the fall instead of in the spring. I know that now anyway. So in the fall, I'm probably going to put more in the ground. Let's see. The tomatoes are doing good. Everything's doing good on this side. I have some small tomatoes. I've been tempted to, we did put tomatoes here.
What did we have here before?
Nothing. Oh, the zucchini was sitting right here. And I moved the zucchini into a sunnier spot, which I'm glad I did because now all of a sudden we have a little baby zucchini growing.
Yeah, we have one.
Yep, and I made sure to pollinate it. I hand pollinated it just in case because I really wanted the zucchini.
In about 2 or 3 days, that thing's gonna get huge. It may seem small now. Tomorrow it's gonna be a decent size, and the day after it's gonna be huge.
You can see, I actually put on a paintbrush pollen from one of the male flowers. You can do this. And I put it in a Ziploc because last year our males wouldn't open at the same time our females would. So this year I was like, well, I'm going to keep a paintbrush for the zucchini, and I am going to, oh, there's little weird black things here. I don't know what that is. I am going to self-pollinate or hand-pollinate these. And you can see there's lots of buds down here, but that's that baby zucchini. It's so cute. Let's see, what else here? These sunflowers are mammoth. They're going to be huge. Houston?
What?
Oh, I don't think so, but I think something snapped it.
Where?
Right there. I had just set a trap. Okay, we're back. Continuing on. I see a big old spider web going through these sunflowers. So somewhere in here is a garden spider eating things that it should be eating, I'm thinking. Pretty cool. I'm excited about something in our garden.
What?
I'm excited about our grand cherry that's growing really, really well. Now, down here is an Aunt Molly's ground cherry. You can see it has flowers that are opening up all cute. I see one back here that's getting eaten by something, however, so I'm going to have to spray some neem oil. I'm excited about the ground cherries because they're supposed to be sweet like candy, but I did see a post yesterday, funny enough, that was saying that they're not that great. So you're supposed to let them ripen and they fall on the ground, and that's when you harvest them. I'm not sure. I've never grown them before. It's a first time crop. So we shall see what we get with those. But I'm really excited about those little ground cherries. I am going to have to figure out what's eating that one ground cherry because I want it to thrive. Probably aphids, it kind of looks like, or little beetles, little flea beetles, because it has little holes everywhere. So that's probably what that is. The tomatoes, it's funny because I love Roots and Refuge channel. And Jessica on Roots and Refuge, she's great. If you haven't seen them, check them out. She was talking about long-leafed arms on the tomatoes. And I thought, well, it's kind of hot and dry here. So she was thinking maybe it was like the humidity that was causing it. Here it's been hot, it's been dry. We did get a little bit of rain yesterday, but not much. Just a tad. But look at this. That is a long arm, and it's a small little tomato plant. So it's kind of hard when you have really long arms going like that to keep them out of the off the ground. I'm going to stop real quick because I'm going to focus on something, and then we're going to be right back. There, and we are back on the garden tour. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening here with the potatoes. I see a difference in the foliage. Is it coming to the end of their life? Anybody could comment on this. This is my first year growing.
They're starting to curl.
That could be a heat thing. So if you see leaves that are curling in the garden, it could be a dry heat thing. They tend to react towards weather. Tomatoes will do the same. What I am noticing though is they're turning brown. They're getting speckled. And let's see, here's one that's really browning. I have been watering it. The temperature has been really weird. It's been cold, dry. I just hope they're not rotting. This is my first year growing potatoes. I know they're getting close to where you would harvest them, but I think it's more in June that I want them to be ready. So we shall see what happens with this potato bed. I know when they die, I'm going to turn out this bed regardless, because then the potatoes should be there. But if they die because they're rotting, well, then I don't get potatoes.
And
Yeah.
we just end up with potatoes.
And this is his new friend for the garden tour. It's a snail. It has been so dry and lack of moisture that I've been kind of watering a little extra. But as you can see, it is affecting our plants. If you look at this poor little sunflower, it is drooping, it is not happy, and
Well, I mean, plus at one point it had a friend,
it had a friend.
but that just so happened to die, so it might just because it doesn't have any things to be with it.
Maybe.
But
It's
I'm
not
pretty sure
shaded.
it's just water. Because right here we have mushroom compost.
Yeah.
And, ooh, no. Mushroom
Yeah.
compost is not good.
If you watch the previous video,
Yeah.
I gotta show
It may
this.
be cheap.
So he's one on his arm and he has one on his finger. This is Roland. Yeah, mushroom compost, it may be cheap.
But it's not good.
It's
just
not good.
stays moist on the top, and because it gets so hot, that's gone in maybe an hour or so.
Yep.
It doesn't leak towards the roots unless you super, soak it for, a couple hours.
Yep.
Which we don't have the time for if we're just doing this one plant. Oh, gosh. Suicidal snail, are you okay?
Outtakes, snail outtakes.
It's so, heavy and chonkster that it can't control its own weight.
It can't control its own weight. But they are happy campers. Look at this. I just don't even know. Yeah, so we're having this moisture problem in our garden right now. And I put some straw down. I know I need more straw, but I didn't have a lot of straw left. So I only used what I had. And that's all I could do. Is it enough? No. I need mulch. And I posted in the Albuquerque Growers page about needing mulch. And I got a lot of comments about straw. But I need mulch. I do BTE gardening. If you look at any of the beds, and I've talked about this previously, but I don't know. I've been adding wood chips, material compost, bunny poo. I don't know if it's so much BTE as it is lasagna layering, but I do put a lot of wood chips into the bed. I do a lot of layering. I do not till this ground at all. It's all stuff just piled on top. And it is beneficial. You can see the soil is healthy soil. So it decomposes, it goes into the ground. The worms help it.
This bed is covered in worms.
This bed is covered in worms. We have multiple beds that are covered in worms. The only areas that aren't are these new areas that we've planted where things are starting to kind of suffer because the ground is not...
Terrible. It's New Mexico soil.
It's in Mexico soil. So we have leaves burning up.
And if you'll watch did you already post that video on you did a video on plant soil? If you watch that video, you'll know why.
Yeah, if you watch the previous video, I talk all about the soil, and it's just not a good thing. But you can do things to fix it. So, which is why I do raised beds personally here. These, after we got all these planted, I told Roland, we should have built raised beds. Huh?
Yeah.
Because this soil cannot be trusted. This soil's, good because it's had decomposed matter in it. This soil,
This is basically just dirt.
it's dirt.
It's dirt and clay once you get down.
Yeah,
There's
past the
maybe
mushroom
about a
compost.
foot there's about maybe 2 inches of mushroom compost on top. Below it's some actually good compost.
I'd say we had about 3 inches, 3 to 4 inches.
Of mushroom. Oh, because we had the too hot compost on top.
Yeah.
We had about 3 inches of compost up here, which 2 inches of it was mushroom. The other stuff, I don't know what it was, but it was decent soil.
Yeah.
And so eventually that got too hot, so we can plant anything here. But after that, it's basically just clay and dirt.
It burnt. We put some zucchinis in it because the trampoline was up.
Died.
And the zucchinis just died in it. And I think that had to do with the compost that we put down before. It was too hot. The compost was not put on the edges. It was just put more in the center. So I'm not worried about that compost affecting these plants. But New Mexico soil is definitely an issue. And I really need to find some... Snails. The snails of the journey of snails.
Snails are so weird.
I know, we need to do a snail channel.
It's a snail on top of this snail, and it's not just a snail on its shell, it's snail on snail.
It's snail on snail. It's getting the conga line going again. We did harvest out of here. We did.
Some of the, we had some of the roses, the in your eye roses. We also did some of the lemon balm, I thought.
Yep. Oh no, we didn't get the lemon balm because I had watered.
Oh yeah.
And we didn't do any of the peppermint because I had watered. And the hyssop, this hyssop.
Oh no, the pineapple thing.
Yeah, our pineapple sage met an untimely death. And again, soil conditions, soil health. It was over here and it died. So I had to pull it out. I tried to save it by putting it in this pot. It didn't work. It died. So we need more pineapple sage in the garden. But we need compost, mulch, something. Look at this. I know I hate to do the garden tour based on snails, but these are the moments. Look at that snail's like, but that's a marigold. I want it and I want to eat it. It literally knows what it's after. Oh, but then it smells it. Yep.
It says no, it smells too good.
So, we are, okay. So to end the garden tour, what am I doing here?
The tea garden? Oh. Let me move out of the way. So what Brianna is doing here is she's gonna be painting flowers from this side all the way to this side. Right now we have a couple going in, but the rest are kind of just drawn. Underneath we're gonna be doing some speckles, like just random paint speckles, so that way it fills it in. Yep. Were we doing something on top? Or are we just keeping it like that?
We're keeping the clouds up top. But I came up with an idea yesterday with handprints to create the foliage on the bottom. So we're going to use our hands to create foliage on the bottom.
I mean, it'd be weird if we didn't use our hands and made handprints.
We need to get some more green paint so we all can participate in this and do all the little hands. And then some paint splatter over it to make it really colorful. But you can see I have tons of flowers drawn. The sun is in a really weird place. I did not draw these dark shadowed lines. This is the poles from the trampoline. Alice, stop it.
Hi, Bear.
So, yeah. Oh! We did not mention our good little friend that was in the garden.
Oh. So, last year, we had some blue-tailed skinks. And those are actually known to be really rare to New Mexico because New Mexico isn't really a really moist area. And blue-tailed skinks are really just into water. But since then, we've seen tons of them. But this year, we found a new kind of lizard. They're huge. They're about this big. They can get up to this big. Ours is about that big.
It's about a foot big.
About a foot. They can get up to 2 feet big, I think, which is huge. And you may be wondering, what kind of lizard in New Mexico is like that? Well, the thing is, they're not native to New Mexico. They're called blue-tongued skink. And we actually have one that comes and crawls around. I personally have not seen it, but he likes to live in that area. You'll notice the little hedge thing over there. But this thing is amazing. It'll eat all kinds of plants, but it isn't native here, so you probably won't see it. But we have an albino blue-tongued skink.
If I am able to, I'm going to catch that thing on video because it loves these rocks. It comes out probably to bask on the rocks. The other thing is it will eat baby mice along with other garden pests. Sorry for anybody who's like, oh my god, don't let it eat the mice. Well,
we don't like the mice.
The mice, we have bunnies. So
we don't want our bunnies to get sick.
We don't want our bunnies to get sick. And that's an unfortunate part with mice. New Mexico in general is known for being a place that actually has the plague, the Black Plague, and still in existence. If you go up into the mountains, there's warnings of not getting near critters. Be careful with your dogs. Don't let the dogs get the critters because the dogs can bring home the Black Plague. So people are like, but it hasn't been around. Well, in New Mexico, it is still around, and it is still a very dangerous thing. This little red house finch just sitting here. He's like, hi.
So I can eat plant.
I know somebody who actually had the plague and lost limbs to it. So it's like a very serious thing, especially here in New Mexico, where there are tons of critters running around. So it's not something we want in our bunny cages. So we have, Well, hello. I think I caught that.
Oh, I know that.
I was pointed that way. The finch just came up right to like the bird feeder while we were sitting here. We're like maybe 2 feet away, and said hello. So a beautiful little house finch.
Oh my gosh, have you seen the apples?
Oh, we have apples. But so we want this skink in our garden. We want it eating things that could potentially destroy what we have. Here are our apples. I don't know if I can see that. Let me go this way where the sun's not at. Hi, Winky. Okay, here we go.
Right there.
Look at
There's
those
some more
pretty
above it,
apples.
but they're huge.
We have tons of apples, but they're all up at the top. I'm gonna
It's
have
way
to
too
get
early
some
for
kind.
the apples to be out, though.
No. They flowered. The apples should be growing. Like we're. Oh yeah, there's some back in here too. So we're gonna have an apple season. This is a good thing. Maybe we'll have enough for apple butter, but we'll definitely have enough to eat. We did prune this tree. If you're having trouble with your fruit trees not fruiting, and it's been a while since you've pruned them, prune them. Prune them in the fall is a good time to prune them before the frost. Before they start flowering, sometimes it's a good time to prune them. There's a bunch of apples back in that back corner there. It will promote them fruiting. I actually have to come in and prune this rose bush because what happens is they kind of get stagnant. They're producing leaves. That's what they're growing. They're going towards. But when you prune them back, it's like a maybe survival thing. They will start blooming again. This rose bush takes forever to bloom. So I think it just needs to be pruned down a bit. And I'm going to do that hopefully this week and see what happens and if it starts blooming again. I do deadhead a lot of flowers constantly like this. Let me take off the flowers to keep it blooming, and you can see that there's a bunch of new growth on it with new blossoms getting ready to open up. Just deadhead your flowers. It's a good practice to get into. I do that with the dianthus. I do that with the snapdragons. It keeps them blooming and it keeps your pollinators in your garden. Yeah. Here's these tomatoes. Tomatoes are getting flowers. This I have to put a trellis still. These tomatoes are getting pretty big. They're going to want to be trellised here soon. So Roland, I think, went to go put up the snails. He's got Gimli again. He came back with a Gimli. Like next season, before things start growing, we will have to prune the peach tree. Probably this fall we might take some pruning to it just to promote more fruiting and more growth that got hit really hard with the freeze.
And then the aphids.
And then the aphids. Aphids love peach trees.
It's the second year that it's taken it out. The first year we almost lost it when it was just tiny, because at first I was taller than this thing.
Yep.
But then it got hit by aphids and we almost lost it.
Yep.
And then the next year we got a ton of peaches. And then this year it was a freeze, and then the aphids came in. That just completely decimated it.
Yep.
Luckily, we still have about 5 of them.
7.
Sorry. 7?
Yeah.
We have 7 of them now. So hopefully that means those ones get really big.
Yeah. So I think that is everything. I mean, we're hoping the tea garden does well. We're going to try to bring in some more flowers. I'm noticing a lack of flowers in the garden because the sunflowers haven't started blooming yet. They'll always bring in the pollinators, but I want some early pollinators because I am starting to get flowers. For example, on the zucchini, I don't know. I mean, our grapevines are doing good. I can't wait. We're going to put a shade cloth over this, hopefully to help the ground because it is getting really hot in this area. You can see it's just a sunny area, and generally this gets all day sun until it.
24/7 except for in the morning and.
No, it gets it in the morning.
Oh, well,
I was sitting here.
Once it sets over this fence, which isn't till around what?
7.
7.
Yeah.
Because since it's hitting summertime, it's a lot more sun.
Yeah. So this area is another, like this would be a great bed for peppers and tomatoes because it's super hot. But we do need to cool it down some for our tea garden. So it does get sun all day long, unfortunately. But I think that's it. Our beans are doing good. Our dill's doing great. Our fennel's doing great.
Talk about that stuff.
This stuff back here.
What the?
Oh, our thyme is struggling because it's so hot. I keep watering it every day, but I did pull it out of the ground because it was struggling in the ground.
Hi, Bear. Come here.
Alice. So, sorry for the lengthy video. It's quite long this time. Our bee balm is doing really good back there. This is the kale the squirrel likes. This is the food for the squirrel. I'm trying to keep it on this side of the bed. But I have several little grasshopper critters eating beans and stuff, so I need to get out here tonight and spray. But that's it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel to follow.
Hit the like button.
Hit the like button.
Make sure to comment if you have any ideas for us, or if you have
Questions.
To tell us anything about the garden questions. We should be answering everything because we're not very big on the channel.
Yeah, recommendations.
Hit the notification bell.
Yep.
So that way you'll get notified when we put out a video.
Yep. And today is Thursday, YouTube upload time.
It's probably going to be around Friday when this gets uploaded.
Friday
Possibly
evening.
Saturday.
Possibly Saturday. It's quite a long video, so we'll see how long it takes. I will try to upload it first thing here in a few hours and then go from there. But thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. Yeah. Subscribe. Be blessed.
All right.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.